My name is Timothy Hawk. The title of my speech today will be The Struggle for Civil Rights Continues. Today we acknowledge the truth that is deeply ingrained in American society. There is an ongoing fight for racial equality. And so I stand before you to shed light on a struggle that transcends time. A struggle for civil rights that continues to shape our society. From Rosa Parks to Martin Luther King Jr. and even to Malcolm X. Black people in America have been on a continuous struggle for equality and justice. Henceforth, according to the NAACP, Rosa Parks occupies an iconic status in the civil rights movement. After she refused to vacate a seat on the bus in favor of a white passenger in Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955, Parks rejected a bus driver's order to give up her seat to a white person. Her defiance sparked a successful boycott of buses in Montgomery. Residents refused to board the city's buses. Instead, they carpooled. They rode in black-owned cabs or walked, some as far as 20 miles. The boycott dealt a severe blow to the bus company's profits, as dozens of public buses stood idle for months. The boycott was led by a newcomer to the civil rights movement named Martin Luther King Jr. The NAACP also mentions Martin Luther King's determination, how it emphasized the need for equality through powerful speeches and peaceful protests. His iconic "I Have a Dream" speech echoed a generation's hopes for an ideal world in which people are judged on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. Dr. King's speech will go on to say that the architect of our republic, which is our forefathers, they signed a promissory note to which every American will fall heir. And this note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, will be guaranteed the rights of life. They will be guaranteed the rights of liberty and the pursuit of happiness. King said, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back insufficient funds. And 60 years later, the check is still bouncing. Dr. King's leadership during the civil rights movement, it inspired communities, and it laid the foundation for historic legislative victories. PBS states that Malcolm X stood alongside Dr. King, challenging the status quo through his firm commitment to black empowerment and self-defense. This is Malcolm X now. While their approach is different, they only met once. And so Malcolm X was often asked his opinion of Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement, that old peaceful movement. Malcolm X once said, by any means necessary, we will get our victory. But after he went to Mecca in 1964, Malcolm met and he prayed with white and black Muslims. And so his stance on black-only unity, it changed. His shift toward collaboration with other civil rights leaders, it reflected a growing recognition of a shared goal. Blake writes that despite the progress made by these remarkable individuals, the fight for civil rights continues. The recent deaths of George Floyd. Remember? The police that knelt on his neck for over 11 seconds until he died. Breonna Taylor, the young woman whose house was raided by police and she was shot to death. And even others at the hands of law enforcement. It highlights the widespread discrimination and police brutality that currently plagues our country. Their name serves as painful reminders of black communities, injustices, and the critical need for reform in our criminal justice system. Furthermore, Montanaro mentions the division, and he mentions the hatred promoted by figures in positions of power, such as former President Donald Trump. How he escalated existing tensions. His incitement of riots and refusal to condemn white supremacy, it excited the racial tensions, jeopardizing the gains made by generations of civil rights activists. And as we face these challenges, let us be inspired by the courage and the endurance of those who came before us. Let us stand in unity with the ongoing civil rights struggle, raising the voices of excluded and disadvantaged throughout collective action and unwavering determination. We can create a future in which justice, equality, dignity are truly available to all men. Yes, the black man as well as the white man. Now, while progress has been made since the era of Jim Crow, the Jim Crow laws, our country's fight against racism and injustice has been marked by both successes and failures. Throughout history, prominent figures have dedicated their lives to the fight for civil rights, which continue to this day. Despite the growth we have achieved in the civil rights movement, people of color continue to face discrimination.